of people, so twisted in fate, could ever look at one another and feel any hate. Only together we're great, so don't take the bait. Every time they sell the narrative, rejected, it's fake. As when people under God, a nation was born. Like two peas in a pod, to one another we're drawn. So I don't care what your position is on judicial reform, what country you're from, what country you're from, the type of keeper that's on. Gotta love one another, no matter what the difference is. How could we define each other solely by our differences? If we get deep down inside, you can never deny it. That's why I'll always care for you, so I don't buy it. Nah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Don't buy it. How we managed to survive to most remains a mystery. How the Jewish people thrived, it just breaks the laws of history. We overcame the obstacles no matter the cost, through hundreds of pogroms and everything that we lost. And after all this time we made it back to our land. So if we want to live together, gotta understand that no one ever said we always have to agree, but every Jew should treat another Jew with decency. So even if we disagree to an impossible degree, we still a family, we gotta live in harmony. Cause if we live with unity and together make a plea, gotta listen carefully and erase every decree. And even though I know it could be difficult to see, it's the only thing we gotta do for God to set us free. This is our choice, accept it or fight it, but I choose to live in peace with you, so I don't buy it. Nah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Don't buy it. Got to release all the hate. Only together we'll be great. The only way we can replace it in our mind is to feel love all the time. We gotta realize that deep within our soul we are together, not alone. And only then will God sit on his throne. Abba, please come home. Release all the hate. Only together we'll be great. The only way we can replace it in our mind is to feel love all the time. We gotta realize that deep within our soul we are together, not alone. And only then will God sit on his throne. Abba, please come home. When we're united we're ready, but then in fighting gets heavy, the missiles fall, cause we keep on forgetting. So he swipes through the menu, prepare for resetting. Sometimes we need to be restored to the factory settings. Some serve, some learn, to Hashem we earn. Together's our might, united we fight. We got different points of view, but it's time for an epiphany. Instead of going at each other, let's replace anger with sympathy. We all in this together, you can't ever deny it. One nation under God, we should never divide it. So when they preach about hate and want you to try it, I got one piece of advice for you: don't buy it.
It's love, sweet love, it's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. No, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. All this and more, if you wanna know. The world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for for some, but for everyone.
It's easy if you try.
No hell below us,
Above us only sky. Oh, yeah.
imagine all the people
Living for today.
yeah. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do.
Nothing to kill or die for.
And no religion too.
Oh, yeah. Imagine all the people living life in peace.
You may say I'm a dreamer,
Yeah, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us. Oh, yeah, and the world will be as one.
imagine no possessions.
I wonder if you can. No need for
Hi, Jeffrey.
or hunger.
Hang out. I have a whole bunch of music.
Brotherhood of man.
Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, yeah, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be as one. Be as one.
Imagine all of the people
Sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, yeah, but I'm not the only one. Not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
9:45. What's going on?
This is
Love.
like a
Only love. When you're walking through the day, make this world a better place. Children will learn, and their future will be love. Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to the wisdom inside and around you. You will remember in your home and on your way. Make your life a voice of God. Be a sculptor for the holy. Be a doorway for
Adonai, your God, with all your heart, with all your
which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates, and you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
So before we go on, I need to give a huge shout out to our mixer and engineer for this album who's here tonight, Roy Hedrickson, who I have learned is the most patient man in the world, because he put up with my never-ending mix notes and also my constant barrage of files that I would send him to replace the old files, which were about 2 minutes old. Working with Roy was an absolute dream, and there was just one thing. I'm a morning person, and Roy is a bit of a vampire, and I would be dozing off at, a pretty late normal hour to be dozing off, and then ding, my phone would ring, and it was Roy, and he was ready with the next mix, so I had to get up. And I had to listen to the mix and get all the notes and send them to Roy. And we went back and forth. And every night until about midnight is when my brain would be completely fried, which conveniently was exactly when the mix just came together perfectly. So Roy, you are a legend. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for mixing our album. And that brings us to our next song, Broken Hearted. So I remember when Rabbi Buchdahl sent the cantors an email saying, you've got to listen to this setting of Broken Hearted. And I clicked on the YouTube link, and I was just blown away, because not only did it use a text that we don't normally use in our Misha Berach spot in our prayer for healing, but the melody itself and the way it was composed was so raw and tender and exposed. And here with us tonight is actually the composer of this tune, and that is Rabbi Shir. Rabbi Shir Feit, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here with your family. And this was also another Michael Thurber special in arranging.
If you want to live your life, live it all the way and don't you waste it. Every feeling, every beat can be so very sweet, you gotta taste it. Let's get loud, let's get loud. Turn the music up, let's do it.
you gotta do, no, no. Everybody over here, let's get right here, let's get.
That purposefully lies to its people to maintain a political fiction and get themselves power, that is the hallmark of an authoritarian system, not a democratic system.
Absolutely.
Well, if we were ever to get something like that in the United States, we would be horrified, furious, to know that there was an entire media organization designed to bend reality, to manipulate facts, to maintain power. It would, if I may, and I'm not trying to slam Hungary, it would never happen in the United States. It's just not, I almost can't even conjure it, imagine it. It must be very difficult to live in a country where one media organization, out of whole cloth, knowingly, explicitly, maybe even in meetings behind the scenes might say, we're lying to our audience, holy shit, and then call for news people to be fired for telling the truth. I mean, if something like that happened in the United States, it would be a dark day indeed.
Giving us 90-second videos that are saying polite variations on America. I am so sorry you have to go through this, but trust us, we've been through this a lot. Yeah. This is what autocracy looks like. And it is so much better to fight it now than 6 months from now, and almost impossible to fight 6 years from now. Yeah. What do you see? I mean, for instance, Trump put this out the other day. He said all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. I'm sorry, this is America. What the hell is an illegal protest?
We have to stand up to this, and by the we, I don't just mean Democrats, like freedom-loving conservatives, libertarians. Where are you? Like, we might not agree on everything, but if you are so committed to liberty as a libertarian or a freedom-loving conservative that you think the Clean Air Act is tyranny, then what do you have to say about the head of your government threatening to expel or imprison people who protest in disagreement with his politics? Where are you? We should be able to come together around that.
I don't know if you are capable of that. You say, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. So please explain these types of statements, because they're brutal and they're mean and they disrespect men and women who are willing to die for this country.
I've never disparaged women serving in the military. I respect every single female service member that has put on the uniform, past and present, in ways direct, indirect, overt, and subtle. Standards have been changed inside infantry training units, ranger school, infantry battalions, to ensure that
Give me one example. Please give me an example. I get you're making these generalized statements.
Commanders meet quotas to have a certain number of female infantry officers or infantry enlisted, and that disparages those women.
Commanders do not have to meet quotas for the infantry. Commanders do not have to have a quota for women in the infantry.
She is right about that. There are not quotas set by the larger Department of the Army or the Department of Defense for how many women have to serve in these combat units. The reality is the most elite ones really don't have that many women, because the physical restriction or the physical requirements are really difficult. A lot of men don't make it, okay? But the women who have made it have done so on merit. They have done so by passing the exact same grueling examinations and physical tests as the men have, Hallie.
You will have to change how you see women to do this job well, and I don't know if you are capable of that. You say, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. So please explain these types of statements, because they're brutal and they're mean.
I want generals like Hitler's. I think he knows what he means. I don't think that's something to ridicule. I don't think it's about him not understanding the 1930s and 1940s. I actually think it is about him understanding the 1930s and the 1940s. He doesn't know the technical details that I'm about to share with you, but I think he gets the general picture, which is that generals like Hitler, even if he can't name a single one of them, the thing that he grasps, which is important and which is correct, is that those generals were unbound by law and were personally loyal to the leader, and I'm using that word advisedly. So let me now give you the technical detail, because it's important for the kind of system we have and the way the system could change. What generals like Hitler's means is this. In August 1934, Hitler was able to get the generals and the officers and the military men in general to swear a new oath. Up to that point, the armed forces of the Weimar Republic, which was dying, up to that point, the armed forces of Germany had sworn an oath to the Constitution. That should be familiar, because that's American practice today. What Hitler was able to do was to change that to an oath of personal loyalty to him. Now, the immensity of that change may not be immediately obvious, so let me just try to point out how huge that change is. First of all, you might remember, and Julian's recollection of the Holocaust is particularly poignant in this connection, you might remember that in 1945, German military officers would say things like, "I was only following orders." But they meant by that something which we might not understand. When they said they were only following orders, they meant there was no law. I was beyond the Constitution. I was beyond the law. I swore an oath of personal loyalty to Hitler. And therefore, if Hitler wanted this to happen, there was no law which prevented me from doing so. And so when you take an oath of personal loyalty to a leader, you're beyond the law. Which means, and here's the second point, the entire society is transformed. Because if the military, the people who are carrying the weapons, are no longer bound by the law, what does that mean for the rest of you? It means that the rule of law doesn't really apply to anyone, because if someone in the armed forces is ordered to do something by the leader, they do it. And what they did was right according to the new order in which they've sworn personal loyalty. And so the Constitution itself, constitutional regimes, cannot survive that kind of change. They cannot survive what Trump calls generals like Hitler's. Which brings me to the third point. I've been trying really hard not to use the word Führer. That word Führer, right, that word leader, Führer we say in American English, that word, which we use to designate the leader of Nazi Germany, that word came into force in August of 1934. The moment when Hitler ceased to be just Chancellor of Germany and became the leader, became someone who was beyond law, beyond the government, beyond any restraint, who was the leader, the Führer, of the German people, right? Des deutschen Volks. The moment that that happened was precisely that moment when the generals swore the oath. So when Trump says that he wants generals like Hitler's, what he is saying is that he wants a transformation of the kind of power that he would hold. And in my view, he is right. I'm not going to say that he's a bad historian. I'm going to say that he understood what happened in August of 1934, and what he is saying is that he desires that that happen here.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeffery B.Giesener. I'm so happy to see each of you on board with us. I'm so pleased and honored that I could continue doing the Zooms. I haven't done one in over a year. Some of you may know I was diagnosed with cancer in March of 2004, and that precluded my ability to do any Zooms. And so, thankfully, to God, I'm in remission at the moment. And so the first thing I wanted to do was to come back and be part of all of you, to see you, to hug you virtually. You have gotten me, and many of you have gotten me through what has been a horrible time in 2024 and 6 months of really, really being bad. I am recovering, but I still have some challenges. With us is Dana Schrager, who is going to be monitoring our chat. I've chosen to, luckily, I learned how to make some films while when I started to come up with cancer. So you've been watching filmmaking live, and I am literally created a film today for the whole program, but you're here to discuss trauma, to discuss what's happening throughout the United States, throughout the world, in Israel. Some ground rules. You're going to see some more clips that I've put together, and there's going to be plenty and ample space for discussion, which I will come back to this screen and allow anybody who wants to raise their voice to do so and share their opinions. What won't happen is that there won't be any divisiveness in this meeting. Everyone will be respectful. Everyone will have a chance to speak their opinions. I also changed when the election was happening, the JCR group and Stand Against Hate to be a Trump-free zone. I don't believe in my mind or my parents, so I do all the work that I do for. And by the way, you know, you would think that our group is shrinking because I made this change. It's actually exponentially growing, which is quite amazing and exciting. But if anybody who's going to ask a question becomes aggressive or is decisive or takes a MAGA-leaning approach, they will be silenced and they will be removed from our meeting today. I take a very strong position. I use this term, let's get loud. And I am mad as hell about what's going on in our country and around the world. And I know my parents would be just thrilled for me to take this position because as immigrants to the United States in 1954, I can't imagine with my sister if they would have been separated at the border, with my sister going in one direction with sloppy records, not knowing where she was, and perhaps never to be returned. And this is happening every day today. So I want to thank you for coming. If you get and you lose your internet connection, like always, just click that same link. I or Dana will readmit you. We have many friends here that are going to be play a part in this program. They've been longtime friends who've come to the Zooms. I've gone outbound to ask them to participate. Most of them immediately said yes, and they're part of the film. But what you are going to see, guys who are participating, is a place for you to be able to unmute yourself and start giving your expected presentation. So I've given you a sort of a tarmac and a place for you to be able to know when your time is right. So our first guest is my true pal, Zola. So I'm going to go back and share my screen and we'll continue the program. Thank you for you all for being here. Thank you for sending me so many loving messages through my sickness, and certainly tons that I have gotten from since I've disclosed that I have cancer. So here we go.
When darkness lingers and the shadows hide the sun, when you are stuck in deep despair, when fear and sadness overwhelm us one by one, look for the light you'll find in love that's all around you everywhere. In every smile you've ever seen, in every cool song you have heard, in every act of kindness and in every caring word, and like the stars that brighten blackest skies your whole life through, we'll be shining our light tonight on you. Broken, what needs care, love that listens to your burdens, they are lightened when they're shared, a love that leads love is shining our light tonight for you. Hold on to hope that everything will be alright. Have faith, believe you have the strength in you to fight, to be as bold as eagles and as free as butterflies in flight, to feel the fire and survive, and feel the joy that you're alive. Let your heart listen to the beat of love in mine. Your soul will sigh in sweet relief in perfect time. Trust that love will guide you. Find that light inside you. Let it shine out loud and true. And we'll be shining our light. We'll be shining our light. Shining our light tonight with you. We'll be shining our light tonight with you. Shining our light. We'll be shining our light. Shining our light tonight with you. We'll be shining our light tonight with you.
Who shall live and who shall die became my reality when I heard those 3 life-altering words from my doctor. You have cancer. When I received my leukemia cancer diagnosis in March of 2024, my white blood cells were 4 times higher than normal, and Myra and my world were turned upside down. It felt like my fate hung in the balance, much like the prayer suggests. I was suddenly forced to confront my mortality and the overwhelming uncertainty of the path ahead. Myra, with her strength, also had to harness an even deeper strength to provide new levels of support for me and keep putting her foot in front of the other. Her focus on 10,000 daily steps, I believe, is one of the ways she does so. The new vulnerability I felt marked the start of a journey filled with challenges I never anticipated. Daily chemotherapy was and still is a daily challenge for every day. For a year, I was sick as a dog, both physically and mentally, along with all of my other medical mishegas, Yiddish for hoo-ha. Yet amidst the fear and uncertainty, the start of this 5,784 high holidays with its familiar themes of renewal and introspection encourages me to reflect on how I want to live my life moving forward. I promised myself, Myra, and my family that I must try to live life fully and find a path forward, even during this challenging journey. I want to continue to support my love for Myra and know that life is too short to put off fulfilling dreams, passions, and aspirations. I want to take this moment to thank each of you for being there for us and me. You have each made this difficult journey for each of us special in your unique way, and for that we are forever grateful. For both of us this year, the holy text, Who Shall Live and Who Shall Die text, has genuinely a very different meaning. The text says, on Rosh Hashanah it is inscribed, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. Resonates with me in a way I had never envisioned before. These words encapsulate the uncertainty of my situation, mirroring the ambiguity of who shall live and who shall die. But as I look to the future, I refuse to let cancer define me or diminish my spirit or passion for my work. Instead, I embrace the inner strength it forced me to find, and in turn, the resilience it cultivated within me. And with the excellent support of Myra, Mark, and Jen, my family, and each of you here with us, I wish each of you the traditional blessing for our upcoming Passover. It is why I chose this theme as to who are we if we do not help and hold close our family, friends, and those who are weak, ill, being crushed by this mega government. Now is the time to get loud. Jeffery B.Giesener, founder of the Jewish Culture and Holocaust. October 7th, and stand against hate, a community of 10,000 strong.
Okay, Rabbi Sarah, let's have you unmute and share your words of blessing for today with us.
Okay. Well, I was going to try it off camera, but I decided no disembodied blessings today. Good afternoon. I am Rabbi Sarah. I'm choosing to use my Hebrew name for the sake of safety. It's wonderful that once again, our very dear friend Jeffrey is addressing the needs of not only the Jewish community, but the wider American community by starting yet another grassroots organization where we can work together to overcome the urgent challenges we are currently facing. You'll have to excuse me, I'm having some trouble breathing and fighting the urge to get some oxygen, so hang in there with me. Political activism has been called a powerful form of prayer. Rabbi Yirmiyah of Talmud Yerushalmi said, "The one occupied with the needs of the community is like the one occupied with matters of Torah." And so let us bless this meeting. Avinu Shabashamayim Tzur Yisrael V'Goalo Baruch Na'et Medinat Yisrael. Heavenly Father, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, shield it beneath the wings of your love, and spread over it your canopy of peace. Our God and God of our ancestors, bless our nation, the United States of America, and its inhabitants as well. Protect its citizens from all threats, both domestic and foreign. Bring blessing, health, justice, and peace from sea to shining sea. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok betzorchei tzibur. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, who has consecrated us with your mitzvot and commanded us to occupy ourselves with the needs of the community. May we be guided by wisdom and understanding, and may our discussions be fruitful and beneficial. May the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and allow the work of our minds and hands to fulfill the Jewish principle of Tikkun Olam, addressing injustice, repairing damage, protecting the vulnerable and voiceless, and promoting peace for the sake of God and God's creation. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, osei hashalom v'hatzedek. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, Sovereign of the universe, who inspires peace and justice. As we gather here today to work for a better world, may our hearts be filled with courage, our words with wisdom, and our actions with kindness. Guide us to pursue Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world, with humility and resolve. May we listen to each other deeply, speak truthfully, and act boldly in service of equity and compassion for all. Grant us the strength to face challenges and the unity to support one another. May our efforts be blessed with success, and may we always walk in the ways of righteousness and peace. As this is the first meeting of its kind in this organization, please, if you can, join me in the Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, Sovereign of all, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this season. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice, let us pursue. And we say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Cheryl.
Sorry for the allergic sniffles.
No problem. They're with love. So go ahead. Beautiful.
Oh
speak out so future generations will be saved. Won't close our eyes and fear and hide. We'll let our beauty reign. Nothing stands between us and the world we dream to know. Won't be silent. Won't be silent. Won't be silent, won't be silent. Not for one more day. We'll speak out, so the future will be safe. Won't close our eyes and fear and hide. We're gonna let our beauty reign. We're gonna fight until there's change, until there's no more hate. We were made to love, no matter how much hate we face. We will fight for those who cannot and need our strength. Won't close our eyes and feel we want to be the light that shines through pain. We're gonna fight until there's change, until there's no more hate. We'll break the silence. We'll break the silence. You'll break the silence. Screaming words of hope. We'll break the silence. We'll break the silence. You'll break the silence. Screaming words of hope.
I will not be silent.
I will not be silent.
I will not be silent.
I will not be silent. I will not be silent. I will not be silent.
I will
not be silent.
I won't be silent.
I won't be silent.
No permaneceré en
Silencio.
I will not
Be silent. I will not be
silent.
I will not be silent.
I will not be silent.
I will not
Be silent. I will not be silent. I will not be
silent. I will not be silent.
She will not be silent. And neither will she.
Hold on a second. So I want to bring to our Zoom my good friend, Abe Gurka. So Abe, why don't you unmute yourself and let us know where you are so I can bring you on screen.
I'm here, I think,
see
in
you.
spirit anyway.
Welcome, my
Hi,
friend.
everybody. Hi. It was so good to see that song again. And just the fact that I did a song with that title back in 2019, and it's more relevant today, is kind of a blessing. It's unfortunate that it's so relevant. It's relevant in so many different ways. I don't want to get into the song itself. I want to bring it to the moment that we're in. As much as we have to resist this current administration, which I did not vote for. I think it's my priority to resist the anti-Semitism that's coming around the moment that we're living in. I mean, I think we all are on the same page with how unacceptable that is, and that it's hard to find a way to galvanize Jews in this fight, because theoretically we're engaged, but when you look at the number of turnouts for the World Zionist Congress vote that happens every 5 years, American Jewry is completely out of the loop about what that is. And so my way of not being silent and saying I won't be silent is I am running for the World Zionist Congress, which is an unbelievable honor and opportunity to be invited to be part of the slate. If there's any questions first, if anyone does, because a lot of Jews don't know about it. It's one of the most important democratic bodies that exists to help Jews. That, like most Democrats, can't market their way out of a paper bag, which is why we are in this current situation with the administration we have. So if anybody has a question on what the World Zionist Congress is, I'm happy to answer it, or I could just read you a little poetic journey that I've had to text a lot of different people.
Since we're recording this and you have a much wider audience in the recording, why don't you share both the definition of what they do and why you're running?
Okay, great. So in a nutshell, the World Zionist Congress is the global Jewish parliament that determines how major funding is allocated to support Jewish life around the world. It was founded in 1897 by Theodor Herzl and meets every 5 years to shape policies on issues like education, community development, and the future of Zionism. Delegates are elected from Jewish communities worldwide, making it one of the most democratic Jewish institutions. The World Zionist Congress influences organizations like the Jewish Agency, Karen Kayemet LeYisrael, and the World Zionist Organization, which collectively controls billions of dollars in resources. It's basically the political voice of the Jewish people worldwide, and voting in it is a chance to have a say in how that money is spent. Now, historically, so America, we get 167 of the 525 members of the Congress. So within the American election, there's 22 slates of electors. So it's not like you're voting for Abe, but Abe has been invited to be part of a slate of electors, and our slate is called the Jewish Future, which to me sounds exactly right up my alley to want to be part of it, right? But what we stand for is, first of all, we're centrists. So as much as this moment has brought Jews to the far left and the far right, which is kind of also why we're sitting here in this personally upsetting political situation, is that we are leading a centrist Zionists to support the next generation. So what happens is, once we get elected, and I'm doing like an Oprah mood board, which is like, I'm envisioning that I'm winning. And once every 5 years, it's not like a paid position. It is strictly volunteer, but you get sent to Jerusalem every October, where you vote on various organizations who have presented reasons and missions what they need funding for. This is no joke. This is $1 billion a year that is spent every year because it's part of a trust. So that money has to be spent, and it's spent on the diaspora and organizations all over the world, and we want to have a bigger vote. Historically, again, in 2015, that election, like 70,000 out of 7 million Jews voted. In 2020, 125,000 Jews voted out of 7.5 million. It is, for whatever reason, inability to market themselves, something that's been around from the 1800s. But part of what I want to do and part of our slate is to want to elevate what the word Zionist is now. And I'm sure we can all agree that it has become the new N-word in this country, which is unacceptable. And as far as I'm concerned, that my dad was a Zionist and I get a chance to even remotely stand in the shadow of him is why I want to make sure that we turn the page on how we look at Zionists in this country. It is not a curse. It is an honor. It brings us back to the simplicity of where Judaism was found in the land of Zion, in Judea, in Jerusalem, in a space where the religion began and flourished. And we continue to get ostracized. So I am putting my foot down, and I just want to remind everybody that's Jewish in America now and that are very afraid of what's happening, which is understandable. But you have to remember we have survived every tragedy that has befallen us. This too shall pass. And you have to know that. You have to remember we come from Moses, right? We have spines of steel. We can do this. We can vote. I mean, there's 22 slates. If you want to align with another one, for me, voting is a win, which we saw didn't happen in 2024 when 19 million Democrats and independents decided I'm not voting, which I'm not even going to get into the level of Shonda that has to about the Democratic Party. But at this particular moment, I'm just begging you, I will put a link in the chat, or I know Jeffrey would be willing to put it on the Facebook page where you can find out about what we stand for, what we're doing. It's in the chat.
Those links have already been there. Why don't you hold your book up? Because I think I will give you an opportunity.
And then while I'm snoring, no, this won't be silent. You have to understand, this has been my mantra pretty much my whole life. But when the Nazis started marching in Charlottesville, and both my parents were already no longer with us, and both of them survived the Holocaust. My mom, Dachau, my dad, the gulags of Siberia, who then he ultimately joined the Bricha, who smuggled all the Jews out of the DP camps to Israel. So I won't be silent about this anti-Semitism. It's hilarious. I mean, you'll laugh, you'll cry. It's better than cats, as I like to say. But yeah, so I'm begging for your vote, and I'm begging, more importantly, if the election started last week, it goes through May 4th. It takes 90 seconds you go online. It's step 1, 2, 3. If you had other groups that you wanted to introduce this idea of voting for the World Zionist Congress, I am all available. It's an ongoing process to get American Jews engaged.
Let people know how they can reach you. So again, it says as the recording will be able to be leveraged.
Please email me at abegurko@gmail.com. It's as simple as that. And then just mention in the subject, friend of Jeffrey. So this way it doesn't go into, who's that? So,
okay. And that's
please. So friend of Jeffrey. And I mean, I would love to engage as many people as part of Jeffrey's community, because I think we're all on the same page here. We all care about America. We all care about Israel. We all care about being Jewish. And this is not a moment for us to prioritize all that. It is one thing. And we have to fight for that. Even though, Zola, I know you're not in America. I know your heart is I know your heart is with us. But yeah, so please join me for the fight of this is the fight. We are being called to task. We are being called to be the best we can be. And it's as simple as voting, or it's as simple as getting involved in your community conversations. I mean, I feel like there's so many things that people can do and just don't because they're overwhelmed, that the simplest thing you can do is just reach out to me and I can help you find a thing to do. whether it's getting involved politically, because I have a big political following.
Hey,
and,
let me stop you there, and I want to take a break and allow the appropriate time for anybody who is on with us, whether they're on screen or whether they're on the phone, whether they choose to not show their face and just speak. They want to do so, that is fine. All I need to know is in your toolbar, there is a reactions area. All you need to do, it's with a heart there, all you need to do is click on that and basically raise your hand, or in this case, I'm raising my thumb, you'll see it go there, right there. And I can see on screen that you want to perhaps talk to us. I can't see you if you don't do that, all right? So, and I can't have you just yell into and interrupt
into the abyss.
So please, anybody interested in talking about anything that you've seen so far, there is more to come. And I want to give you the opportunity to speak. So I'll let you raise your hand, let you speak. Okay.
I got no takers.
All right, so we'll continue the program. So I'm going to continue my sharing. And I hope that after each clip, it will advance your interest to engage, for you to get loud. I kind of anticipated that the conversation would be slow or non-existent at first. So I'm just going to keep layering more interesting content on you.
Hey, Jeffrey, can I say something real quick?
Yep.
Okay, just to notice that Abe put a link in the chat, and also above that, I put the voting link in the chat, and you can look at the slates and you can read everybody's, including Abe's group. And it's so critically important. And I think if we do nothing else, Abe, it's wonderful that everything you said was wonderful. Everything you did, you're amazing. You know how I feel about you. But honestly, if a person does nothing else but vote, you've done a lot. And I hope we do more. But that's so important for every single Jew. That's all I had to say.
And yeah, it's just anyone can, on the side, direct message, email me, and we can do subgroups and sub conversations, and you can invite family members, because again, like, this is our moment to kind of combat what is ahead of us, which is way two shades of 1933 Germany, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thanks.
You have the power to make a change at work, at home, at play. You have the power to do what's right. Right now, don't put it off for another day. You have the power to lead the world to a brighter future.
It's not fundamentally different than what happened in Russia. These are efforts to steal from the American people to enrich themselves. And their strategy is to do it all out in the open, to do it at such a dizzying pace that the country just gets overwhelmed or anesthetized or dulled into a sense that we just all have to accept the corruption, or maybe more charitably, that this is just how government works, that government is just corrupt, and so the fact that it's happening out in the open instead of happening secretly, well, it's really nothing new. But this is not how government works. The things that have happened over the last 6 weeks are unprecedented. The president and his billionaire friends are not supposed to steal from us. They are not supposed to use their power and their access to power, their access to government levers, to rig the rules to enrich themselves. That has always been wrong. It is still wrong. And we do not have to accept this. And so in the next few minutes, I want to try out an exercise. I want to try to lay out for you, as quickly as I can, just some of the most significant instances of blatantly corrupt activity that's happened in just the first 6 weeks of Trump's presidency. When you see it all together, there is no way to avoid a simple conclusion. This White House is on its way to being the most corrupt in the history of the country. And just because they are doing it out in the open for everybody to see doesn't mean that it's not corrupt. And my hope is that if you see it all in one place, the gravity of this moment may hit you. My hope is that my colleagues and the public choose not to normalize a president or his advisors using the Oval Office as a blunt mechanism to make themselves even wealthier. It is our decision to have zero tolerance for corruption. It's also our decision to just decide to become a place like Russia, where our leaders are allowed to routinely steal from us. So this is a heartbreakingly long list. This is just 20 or so examples of corrupt behavior in the first 6 weeks of the Trump presidency. So here it goes. We're going to start on January 17th. On January 17th, Trump launches the meme coin. This is maybe the most corrupt of all the acts, because what is the meme coin? The meme coin is essentially a mechanism by which Russian oligarchs or corporate CEOs can literally send money privately directly to Donald Trump. Nobody knows who buys the meme coin, but Trump makes money when people buy it. And so it is just an open sewer valve that allows for anybody who is trying to influence the Trump administration to be able to secretly funnel money to Donald Trump. He reserves 80% of the coin. He waits to release that coin until the price jumps back up again, which essentially means he's waiting for people who want favors from him to buy a bunch of the coin to inflate the value so that he releases more and makes more money. It's a disgusting kind of corruption, because this is essentially Trump just posting his Venmo for anybody secretly to wire him as much money as they want. We've never seen something like this before, where anybody who has anything to gain from the Trump administration through a manipulation of the value of Trump's meme coin can funnel money directly to the president, whisper in his ear, "That was me. That was me that purchased all that coin, that jumped up the value, that allowed you to release new coin. Hey, take care of me on the back end." On January 20th, when he's sworn in, he institutes his new energy agenda. Now, open reporting suggested that during the campaign, he met with the oil and gas industry, and they cut a deal in which the oil and gas industry would give him $1 billion of campaign contributions in order to receive favorable treatment when Trump was sworn in. And guess what happens on January 20th? Trump unveils his energy strategy. And what does it do? It preferences oil and gas, and it punishes oil and gas's competitors. It, for instance, freezes all permits on wind projects, both for the land and the sea. It undercuts permitting processes, not for oil and gas, but for oil and gas's competitors. Oil and gas got exactly what they asked for. They gave a campaign contribution, and they got the favorable treatment. 5 days later, Trump fires 17 inspectors general. What do inspectors general do? They look for corruption inside of these agencies. What do? If you are trying to engage in corruption, if you are trying to steal from the American people, you fire the inspectors general. 2 days later, on January 27th, Trump fires Gwen Wilcox from the NLRB. This is the National Labor Relations Board. When she's fired, the National Labor Relations Board cannot function any longer. Why does this matter? Because the person that has been put in charge of reviewing the hirings and firings of these agencies is Elon Musk, who, by the way, has lots of cases before the NLRB. So do the people that are standing behind Trump during the inauguration. Almost all of them have active cases before the NLRB. The billionaires supporting Donald Trump now don't have to worry about the NLRB, because on January 27th, the NLRB is rendered powerlessness. 3 days later, on January 30th, Trump awards more than $800,000 worth of stock to several of the board members of the Trump Media and Technology Group. This is the publicly traded company behind his social media platforms. So now his cabinet members, people like Kash Patel and Linda McMahon, are owning equity in Trump's media platform, equity that can be cashed out, sold to people who want to buy them out of their interest at any time. Those people who might want to buy them out, cabinet members, could be individuals with issues before the Department of Education, before the FBI. Yet another avenue in which people who have influence, who want to gain influence inside the Trump administration, have a conduit to be able to move cash from their pocketbooks, from their treasury, from their bank accounts, into the bank accounts of Trump cabinet members. Shortly thereafter, we start to see the weaponization of the DOJ. On February 23rd, a civil complaint from DOJ that had been pending against SpaceX, Elon Musk's signature company, is dropped. 8 days later, the DOJ drops a case against a Republican congressman. On February 19th, 2 or 3 weeks later, the DOJ opens up something called Operation Whirlwind, which seeks to target anyone who dares try to obstruct or criticize the work of Elon Musk and Doge. Over the course of the first few weeks, the DOJ is turned into an entity that drops cases against those who are loyal to Donald Trump and pursues aggressively investigations against those who are trying to criticize Donald Trump. On February 1st, Trump fires the director of the CFPB and announces plans to shutter the Consumer Financial Protection Board. Again, very much like the NLRB, this is an agency that was, at the moment that it was rendered powerless, investigating Elon Musk and many of the biggest financial backers of Donald Trump. So once again, those that have access to Donald Trump, the billionaires that are close to him, now don't have to worry about labor violations being investigated by the NLRB. Now they don't have to worry about consumer protection actions being taken against them by the CFPB. On February 4th, there is the first of 2 extraordinary meetings in the White House in which Donald Trump convenes his business partners, the Saudi Golf League and the PGA, to try to negotiate a solution to the dispute between those 2 golf leagues. Why? Because Trump has a business interest in that dispute being resolved. The Saudi Golf League plays tournaments at Trump's courses in the United States. And so if the White House, using its official power, can try to negotiate a settlement between those 2 groups, Trump stands to make money. On February 6th, something absolutely stunning happens. Pam Bondi, the AG, issues a memorandum in which she proposes to dull the criminal enforcement of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. If you are representing a foreign government before the United States, you have to register so that we know if you are acting on behalf of American interests or you are acting on behalf of foreign interests. In the prior Trump administration, Trump officials got in big trouble for secretly working for and getting paid by foreign governments without registering. Well, what does Trump announce? That they are going to limit the applicability of the enforcement of that statute, making it much easier for Trump's friends, for his MAGA crowd, for the people who show up to Mar-a-Lago, to get paid quietly by foreign governments in order to influence Donald Trump. On February 10th, maybe aside from the meme coin, the most stunning act of corruption, the Eric Adams quid pro quo, in which Eric Adams, indicted for corruption, is let off the hook. His charges are dismissed in exchange for the mayor's pledge of political loyalty to Donald Trump. They literally went on TV and announced the deal, that we're getting rid of the charges against Eric Adams as long as the mayor pledges political loyalty to the president. That was so corrupt that 6 or 7 DOJ officials resigned because they refused to withdraw those charges. But the deal went through because the 7th or the 8th or the 9th official finally filed the withdrawal. And now in America, it is 100% clear that if you want to get away with corruption, if you want to steal from your constituents and you're an elected official in this country, all you have to do is just sign up for political loyalty with Donald Trump, and he will instruct the Department of Justice to let you get away with it. On February 10th, Donald Trump directs the DOJ to pause enforcement of U.S. laws that prohibit companies from paying bribes overseas. Come on. Like, come on. He instructs the DOJ to pause enforcement of U.S. laws that prohibit companies to pay bribes overseas. Here's an example. Goldman Sachs was engaged in outright bribery. They were paying bribes to Malaysian officials so that they could get a contract to manage the resources of the Malaysian Sovereign Wealth Fund. American companies should not be overseas bribing foreign governments. That compromises America's reputation and America's national security. But now we are going to pause enforcement of the laws that stop American companies from bribing foreign governments because corruption is now being normalized. This is what you do if you want to normalize corruption, is that you make it legal for American companies to engage in corruption overseas. That makes it easier for Trump to get away with corruption here. 2 days later, on February 12th, the announcement comes out that the State Department is going to buy $400 million of armored Teslas. Okay, so now it's getting even more blatant. It's getting even more brazen. The State Department is just going to buy a whole bunch of product from Elon Musk, product that they were not previously scheduled to buy. It is true that the Biden administration had a blueprint that was going to buy some electric vehicles, but it was around $483,000 worth of vehicles. Trump revises that blueprint of spending so that now the federal government is going to spend $400 million on armored Teslas from Elon Musk. Let's see. That's February 12th. That same day, Elon Musk's people infiltrate the Department of Labor, and reporting suggests that during that infiltration, Elon Musk's personal representatives get access to enforcement information at OSHA, not only against Elon Musk's companies, and by the way, SpaceX has an employee injury rate that is 9 times higher than the industry average, but also workplace safety violations against Elon Musk's competitors. Here's the message. If you are close to Donald Trump personally, if you support him politically, you can get secret access to enforcement data against your country, against your companies, and your company's competitors. That's what happens on February 12th. 3 days later, there's some suspicious firings at the FDA, again related to Elon Musk's personal financial interests. Elon Musk owns a medical device company called Neuralink. It is currently being reviewed by the FDA, and guess what? On February 15th and 16th, all over a weekend, there are 20 people fired from the FDA's Office of Neurological and Physical Medicine Devices. Fired by Doge, run by Elon Musk. Clear message. You're going to get fired if you aren't on the right side of Elon Musk's application. Now, whether that was explicit or not, if the guy who is firing you has a pending application before your department, aren't you going to think twice? Aren't you going to think twice about ruling against his interests? This is why this is all unprecedented. Again, this feels normal because it's been happening every day, but never before in American history have we allowed someone who has a pending application for approval of a medicine or a medical device to be able to personally decide who gets hired and who gets fired at the regulatory agency making the decision over that medical device. But now this stuff is happening every day because on February 15th as well, that same weekend, there's an announcement that the FDA cuts are going to be even deeper, perhaps as big as 50%. That means that hundreds of drugs and devices won't get approved at the FDA. And you know who benefits from that? The folks that are selling the snake oil products. And guess who's selling the snake oil products? The people who work for Donald Trump, selling Vita gummy scams. The director of the FBI is selling vaccine reversal pills. When the FDA gets gutted, it's the people who sell those unregulated products who stand to gain. On February 19th, 4 days later, we find out that the IRS is going to be cut by $7 40,000 people. And the biggest chunk of the folks who are going to be laid off are the people who do the audits of the billionaires and the millionaires and the corporations. And so once again, Elon Musk and the people standing behind Donald Trump on Inauguration Day are going to get off because the IRS just had its enforcement powers, its audit powers, absolutely gutted. That same day, on February 19th, you start to receive word that advertising on Elon Musk's platform is starting to grow again. And the reporting on February 19th indicates that American companies have come to the collective decision that they need to keep advertising on Elon Musk's platform because Elon Musk has so much regulatory power inside the federal government. That they need to make sure that they're paying Musk through Twitter and through X so that if they ultimately need something from the federal government, they can get it. This, again, is why we have never, ever in the history of this country allowed for the richest man in the world, somebody who controls major companies, to also have an official position inside the government. Because of course, it opens up these clear avenues where people are going to do business with him privately to try to curry favor with him publicly. I'm not done. It just keeps going. The next day, on February 20th, the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices monthly meeting is canceled and not rescheduled. And so we were very worried that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who makes money off of his attacks on vaccines, would continue those attacks when he took over HHS. Because if faith in vaccines continues to plummet, it is very likely that RFK Jr. will make money. Why? Because the not-for-profit that he will likely return to, the company that he will return to after he leaves, makes money as vaccine misinformation spreads. And he also continues to collect fees for referring cases to a company that handles claims of personal injury due to vaccines. And so when the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices is canceled, it is a clear indication that, yes, this campaign of assault on vaccines is going to continue, which, not surprisingly, is likely to make RFK Jr. even more money. On February 26th, we see Trump's MAGA hats that are for sale on his website displayed in the Oval Office. And it's just a reminder that so many people inside Trump's universe continue to sell merchandise on the side in order to make money. Donald Trump has always done this, and we've just kind of accepted it, even though it is a kind of corruption in and of itself. But Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, is still selling cash-branded merchandise, even while he's going to run the FBI. Elon Musk and others are selling Doge merchandise. So as they trumpet their brand inside the government, they're making money off their brand outside of the government. On February 26th, maybe the third most significant of brazen corruption happens, news breaks that Elon Musk is just going to have the FAA cancel a contract with Verizon that has been in the works for years and instead just substitute in Starlink for Verizon. Just extraordinary that this is happening in plain view of everybody. Elon Musk takes his private company, uses his access to government to just shove out of the way his competitors and instead insert himself and his company. Again, we've never seen this ever before in American history, and now it's happening on a daily basis. And now we get to this week. This week, Wired reports that guests are paying millions of dollars to dine with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and business leaders are being targeted with advertisements that sell access to a one-on-one meeting with the President of the United States for $5 million. Come on! Like, seriously. There's advertisements that say, if you're a business CEO and you pay $5 million to Donald Trump, you can get a meeting with him. Like, this isn't okay. And yet, because it happens every single day, they're asking for us to pretend that this is normal. This is just 6 weeks. It's just 6 weeks. And the last thing on the list is an offer to meet with the president for $1 million or $5 million. If any previous president had sent out an advertisement suggesting that you could meet with them for a payment to them of $1 million to $5 million, in and of itself, we would deem that to be unacceptable. But Donald Trump and Elon Musk believe that because they have arranged this dizzying pace of corruption in which not a day goes by in which something doesn't happen inside our government, in which Elon Musk or Donald Trump use their power in order to rig the rules to enrich themselves, that we are all going to feel that it's normal. This is how democracies die. Democracies die when the very powerful people steal from us so regularly, so openly, so unapologetically, that we come to believe that it's normal. And listen, I understand that many Americans may think that all of this stuff just used to happen quietly. And the only difference is that Trump and Musk are just putting it all out in the open. And I'm not saying that there haven't been instances of corruption. Democrats and Republicans in this body have been accused of and convicted of acts of corruption. It has been a fact of life in American politics for a long time. But never before has the corruption happened this openly or this frequently. And so I lay it all out for you this afternoon in the hopes that it is not too late for us to decide to stand up as a body and as a nation to say that this isn't okay. The Trump meme coin is not okay. It's not okay for people who have interests before the federal government to be able to anonymously funnel money to the President of the United States. It's not okay for Elon Musk to have access to Department of Labor enforcement data against him or his competitors that nobody else gets access to. It's not okay to just cancel contracts that were going to Musk's competitors and substitute in his own business just because he has the ability to do it as a friend of Donald Trump. Like, the rule of law matters. Doing things by the rules matter. This level of corruption was not occurring behind the scenes prior. It is not just that the cover got pulled off of it all. And it's our decision as a body and as a country to decide not to normalize this scale of corruption.
You have the power to make a change at work, at home, at play. You have the power to do what's right. Right now, don't put it off for another day. You have the power to lead the world to a brighter future.
Okay, so I'm back. Let me make sure that I stop this for a second.
You have the power to do what's right. You have to lead to the brighter future, to a brighter day. You have the power to make things.
Okay. So let me do this. let's have an opportunity to take a few minutes. That was pretty powerful. Does anybody want to talk about it? Feel free to use your icon, emotion icon, and speak. You don't have to be on screen to do so. But I'm interested to hear what you have to think, what you're thinking and what you're saying.
I'm asking myself what they need all this money for.
Well, it's never enough.
Yeah, that's hard to understand because I mean they're pretty old men, and even $1 million would work out pretty well for 5 or 10 years. But I've come to the conclusion, I actually think these people think they're taking the money with them. That's the only thing I could come up with.
Well, they're following what we all have seen Putin do. Putin is someone who has one of the world's richest persons, something like $600 billion of assets that are sloshed around all over the United States, or I'm sorry, not the United States, but all over the world. And so their job is to destroy, so that they can enrich themselves directly from the treasury. And that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But, so is there anybody else who wants to weigh in? Thank you for your thoughts. Now, Zola, go ahead, unmute yourself. Now, Zola lives in South Africa, so she may have sees the world differently than we do in the United States, but she also has traveled the world extensively and has relatives.
And I am an American citizen. I do have an American passport and have lived there for many years as well. I just, my head hurts, my body hurts with all of this stuff. I see this also, it's a game, it's a power game for these people. They, Trump, it's having the most money means he's the most everything, he's the winner. And I think it's not about taking the money with you, it's about, I have the most money that anybody has. I have the most power that anybody has. And I think it's that is what all the money stuff, and money, symbolizes power in these terms. And I think that's my opinion.
Thank you.
It's not even about taking it with you. It's about, he who has the most wins, and he's going to do whatever he can, whether it makes sense or not. Some things, aside from taking the power of everything he does is because he can. And he will show the world.
Bonnie, I see that you are very vocal on Facebook, and I appreciate all your support.
Oh my God! First of all, when he puts it all together, like it's unbelievable. When you hear just bits and pieces, you don't realize the amount of corruption. Now, I don't know if anyone here has ever read Mary Trump's book, Too Much and Never Enough. Has anyone read that?
Okay. Good.
This goes back to his childhood, the way he was raised. In his family life, money was the only currency. Money was love. There was no love, and money substituted for love. So, in other words, it's fine with his father. The amount of money you could amass was proof of how great you were, and how approved of you were. So he learned it from an early age that to be like he's a bottomless pit of need for money, because that to him that equals validation. That's means that he's somebody, because first of all his father was a sociopath, and he did not experience love. His mother was absent when he was very young, and so he learned very early on that the way to feel validated and approved of in his family was to amass as much wealth as you can, So to him, he could never have enough. That's why she called it too much. It's too much money, but it's never enough. There's never enough love for him. There's never enough self-worth, because deep down he's very insecure, because he feels that he knows deep down that he really is worthless. He's not. So to overcome that, he became a narcissist, a bully, and someone who just needs to amass as much wealth as he possibly can all the time.
Okay, Bonnie, thank you. I wanted to also express excitement that this last clip has brought others forward, and the cameras are coming out, and the hands are raising, so I'm doing a good job. So, Abe, you have your hand raised there, and Michael Gutman, nice to see you on screen.
Hi. I missed this segment because I had to step away, but I can imagine. I can only imagine what it's talking about. I just think that the unfortunate thing is that we've lost all three houses. We've lost all three branches. So some of the resistance that I'm seeing, I'm trying to take like a bird's eye view at the resistance, having been a resistor since the Vietnam War, and what it takes to get galvanized people together. There's such a difference between the resistance from 2017 and now. So we actually had a better turnout when Biden won than when Trump, back in 2021, was parties all over the country. It was almost on the level of the Women's March. And in this particular moment, we find ourselves, the way the Democratic Party has all different factions, we see a lot of the youth movement is anti-Israel. So they're not getting the numbers and the cohesive Democratic message against Trump because their priority is not America, it's Gaza. So you have, and if you look on the news at all the coverage of the protests, whether it's the ones that happen in Washington for the veterans, the ones in these small towns at these these town halls, it's all people our age. The young people are not doing this, and that is why we are at a disadvantage from a resistance standpoint. Because even if you listen to the traditional media outlets you've been listening to for the past few years, they're still just talking about Trump. They're not helping us get ready for the fight at hand, So I'm disillusioned with our political systems. I'm sure we all are. But I think the best way to really go about being helpful to kind of combat this is to start figuring out how to engage your community, to find people outside of this network and networks like this where you get engaged and you make sure that we in 2026 have an election where we can at least get the House back.
Well, maybe have some ideas. Just to stay tuned. So, and it's nice to meet you and see you, Harriet. So, love to see you. I know all you have been posting. John Smith, nice to see you. And I'm going to go back, share my screen, and we'll continue.
Jeffrey, I've had my hand up for quite a while. Can I say something?
Of course, go ahead. Sorry, I missed you.
Okay. I wanted to say that for me, I'm hoping that this ends in a discussion, if not today, the next time, another time, on forming an actual resistance group toward a resistance movement, something that we do together. And if we don't, at least help funnel people into organizations that are actually fighting and resisting. Right now, there are at least 29 active organizations, real big organizations with money behind them that are fighting the administration. We can funnel people in, we can help them donate, we can help them vote, accordingly when those times come up. But I would love to see something here that's Jewish centered, that is also in a movement, some kind of a resistance group that's active, that we brainstorm, that we sit together, that we discuss, that we talk about what's actually happening, what's actually out there, what we need to do, and make real effective strategies. I can send them to you, Diana.
So
Anyway, that's my
Cheryl,
hope.
okay, Cheryl, do me a favor, send me an email with those organizations. I can put them into the description of the film on YouTube. Also, if you have exact details or more actions that you want me to think about, I can include those in the description as well. So I'm going to continue now. Thank you for your thoughts.
There will come a day, and there will come a night when everything around you and all there is about you suddenly feels right, and there will be no doubt, and there will be no fear. That is my wish, that is my prayer. Yeah, yeah. And there will be a world filled with only love, where everything you have and all that you are really is more than enough. And there will be no pain, no need to shed a tear. That is my wish, that is my prayer. Yeah, yeah. When all the children sing and all the angels dance, every living, breathing thing will finally get the chance to see how it's all supposed to be, what it really means to be free. Then it will be your time to live the life you choose. Every moment like a dream, every move you make you win. There'll be no battles left to lose, and there'll be only hope, no reason to despair. That is my wish, that is my prayer for you. That is my wish, that is my prayer. Yeah, yeah.
Dear Dr. King, I met you when I was 14 years of age. You were a true hero and you became an inspiration. I've been blessed to write songs of love, hope, and motivation, many of them inspired by your life. More than any award that I've ever received, I want you to know that I'm thankful how you influenced my place of love, which allowed me to try to push the needle of love and equality forward. It is painful to know that needle has not moved one iota. For 36 years, we've had a national holiday honoring your birthday and principles, yet you would not believe the lack of progress. It makes me physically sick. I am sick that politicians try to find an easy solution to a 400-year problem. I am sick of some people using God for a convenience rather than a commitment. I am sick of lies and deceit that dominate our reality. I am sick that truth is struggling to be heard and defended. What we say has not been what we do, and this country must reconcile our words and deeds. Until we turn our mouth movements into righteous action, we're doing our nation, God, in your memory and injustice. Until what we say is what we do, there is no truth. It is just repeating and rewriting history, just as we have for the last 400 years. We must define the truth in the facts that support them and declare them absolute. Those who promote lies and false truth must be held accountable. It is the only way we can move forward. It is time to formally seek the truth and formally declare facts. We need a truth commission that forces this country to look at its lies. Without truth, we cannot have accountability. Without accountability, we cannot have forgiveness. Without forgiveness, we cannot heal. It is time for all to take the only stand. We cannot be afraid to confront a lie and a liar. Those in leadership who won't or don't acknowledge the truth should be held accountable. Dr. King, these times require courage, as they did when you lived and paid the ultimate price. I pledge to have the courage to say what I see and acknowledge what I hear. In your spirit, I call on all those in the Senate to speak truth to what they know they can physically see, and begin the steps of accountability, forgiveness, and then healing. With a heavy heart and a hopeful spirit, Dr. King, I am Stevie.
Okay. Any thoughts?
Can I speak?
Sure. Who is this?
It's MB, but the thing is, let me see. I just want to make sure you can hear me okay?
I can hear you. If you're interested in coming on, then just put your camera on. You don't have to.
No. So I'm very self-protective, as many are in this time. And Jeffrey, I really appreciate that you have done this group, but I hesitated to join it the first time that so I just had a suggestion. I feel like what the rabbi had just said about ways to, organize or be more active, all the people on this group have ideas and thoughts, but when you are doing your pieces they're very long. I've worked in, I'm sorry. I would love to have more of a back and forth, Jeffrey, with the group at hand here, rather than so many entertaining pieces. I mean, we all know what's going on. I really appreciated the senator. I hope it's okay to just give this little bit of feedback, because there's a sense of urgency and we are all feeling helpless. And I need to know ways in order to act. And I got an email this morning from excuse me, I'm just going to pull it up a minute. It says Congress Majority Pact. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it says important news days from now, 3 MAGA seats in the House are on the verge of flipping in special elections that start April 1st. If Democrats win all 3, it will give them the House majority and be a massive blow to Trump. So all I'm saying is, Jeffrey, when you do these musical pieces, they're very long, and I love Stevie Wonder. I love what he said, but the senator, to me, had the most to offer because he was giving us the facts, right? We all resonate with all of this, and I know we need to be cared for and hear peaceful music, but I'm frustrated because I'm not hearing the people on this Zoom. And so that's all I want. I'm sorry. I'm very scared.
No,
I'm feeling.
Can I respond to you?
Absolutely.
All right. So I have a group that I founded called the Jewish Culture and Holocaust Remembrance Group in 2021. Now it consists of over 10,000 international members. There are 22 people who saw, there were 10,000 people who were emailed, social media posted up the wazoo, and 22 of us came together. I've asked repeatedly for discussion. Just a handful, maybe 2 or 3 people have raised their voice. You're not even coming on camera. So my point is, you're absolutely right. But this is just the beginning. This was a door to open for me passionately to heal, to come back to my community, the community that I built, that I love, and say that I'm alive, because I haven't been for the last year. And so even though that you're passionately speaking about the clips that I'm using, you know what? I hear you, but I disagree, and I'll agree to disagree with you. Hi, Yvonne, nice to see you. And I will continue on with this program. You're welcome to leave if you don't like it. That's fine. But I also want to share with you, to your point, something that I received every day from members in the group. You've lost your freaking mind. Clearly, you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. Trump has been the very best friend of Israel has ever had after horrific experiences with the Biden administration and an all so bad experience with the Obama administration. Go to hell. You are literally advocating for the destruction of the Jews. The Department of Education has been propaganding anti-Semitism from kindergarten through 12th grade. DEI is a disaster for Jews. Many Jews who funded it for many years have realized this and turned around. When will you turn around and realize that you are driven by emotion, not facts? Literally everything you've said about Trump is true of the Democrats. Wake up, and I won't say effing. Okay. So you may be worried, but there are plenty of our Jewish brethren who want this guy to win. So my job, at least in this meeting, is to present a call to action to get loud. And so Dana has her hand raised. Please, Dana, go ahead.
Well, you didn't even allow me to respond to you, Jeffrey. I don't think that there's a give and take here. I think, and if it's your Zoom, I appreciate that. So
it is. So I'm going to allow Dana to take the floor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow.
All right. Don't go yet, MB, because I think you both have more in common, and all of us have more in common than is coming up right now, which is, I think that Jeffrey with the Zoom is taking a first step. Did she go? Maybe, I don't know. Open the door.
I'm still here.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know who's talking. Who's talking?
Okay, this is Dana Schrager. Hi. I think you went maybe behind where I have the chat open, so I can't see your square anymore.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that what you're asking for, MB, I believe is going to happen through this group. But today we're just starting, we're just opening the door. And I know that maybe I think Abe was going to give us some resources about what we can all do. And if anybody else has resources, we all want the resources. I think we want all of this. So there's only so much we can do in a 2-hour Zoom. And, Jeffrey has his own style of making videos. And I think, even though you are ready to take action this very second, which is amazing. And I think all of us, after hearing that senator's speech, are probably ready too. At the same time, it's also scary, as Jeffrey said. Okay, there's people who don't want to be in camera. There's people who haven't shown up for the Zoom, etc. So by showing that celebrities are speaking out, TV personalities, what they have to say, all that, I believe, is Jeffrey trying to help us get up our courage and trying to hear these other voices. Maybe will help give voice to what we're thinking and what we're feeling. Sometimes it's just like a swirl of emotion. So I think it's all helpful. And for those who are ready or are getting ready to speak up and to take collective action, I think we're going to get there next. So
thank you, Dana, for the voice of calm. You've always provided the voice of calm.
But there's nothing wrong with carrying on a conversation, Jeffrey. That's my only point. And I don't think that you are appreciating what I'm trying to say.
I am appreciating, but you're not choosing the right forum today to do that.
No, I understand that. And one last thing, Jeffrey, I just want to say, I don't think you misunderstand me. I appreciate what you've done. It's tremendous. But I just had a suggestion about maybe it will not even be your group. It'll be another group with just discussion and having your format and then having another one that I'm looking for, if anybody knows of that, of direct conversation with each other. And that's all I'm saying. I think we need all of it.
Okay, Yvonne, unmute yourself, Yvonne, please.
Okay. First of all, I'm so happy to hear that you're in remission and wish you many, many more Rosh Hashanahs. And I think the program has been amazing. The performers and all, everyone's had an important message and been very, very enlightening, especially Chris Murphy. I didn't know that Musk had replaced his Starlink in place of the Verizon. That was news to me. I don't think it made the news. Everything else I kind of heard bits and pieces of on the news. So I don't know why it sounds like the biggest, the most important thing of what's happened. Oh, well, they're all of them. And I'm just wondering why it didn't make the news. Why haven't we heard it on CNN?
Well, I did, and that's how I knew.
You did?
Okay.
Then I must have missed it because
I follow a lot of news, more than most people would ever even believe.
Yeah.
So I get 250 different news sources every single day that I plow through one by one. I review every single chat, every single comment on the Jewish Holocaust site, which is many. So between all of that, I kind of stay in the know. But I want to continue because we have really a 2-hour window here. So let me just finish up. Okay. If you're going to enjoy it. Now, I've left a little bit of fun for here. So I'm advocating those who are with us that you get up and share. And Rabbi Sarah taught me this a long time ago, is to get up and dance, to get up and sing. Zola, you're beautiful. But you can't do it on live Zoom because otherwise it'll destroy the recording. So I would want you just to keep your self-muted, but please get up and sing along. And I hope I have the right place, actually. If it's not right now, it'll be there in a minute.
Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Oh, wow. Sorry. I went too far.
Why can't we live together? Just a little piece of this world. All we want, a piece of this world. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? You are still my brother. I said, no matter what color, you are still my brother. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Okay, so Dana, you have the remainder of the program with one last discussion to tell us about why the reason that I put that last clip together was I think that people who are suffering from trauma, just like I am, need creative outlets.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you, Jeffrey. I am feeling really traumatized by everything I heard today. So I hope that helps bring us into action. At the same time, I think resistance takes two forms. It takes activism, which we're all talking about, which I look forward to seeing what our next steps are for this group, how we might take these actions. At the same time, there's another form of Jewish resistance that I think has to come hand in hand, which is taking care of ourselves, deactivating from the anxiety. We're going to be in this for the long haul, and we can't stay in a state of anxiety every minute. So for me, the best way to calm down is and to experience Jewish joy is to connect and to do it through food. So I'm so happy we're all connecting here today. There's people I know on the Zoom from earlier Zooms and new people that I'm meeting today. And I so appreciate Jeffrey putting us all together again. I'm glad you're well enough to do this, Jeffrey. And there's a lot of really beautiful and amazing and generous and accomplished people in this group. So it's nice to be back together again on Zoom. We can't really do it in person since most of us live around the world from each other. But I encourage everybody to find connection in your life, and we can activate together, but we can also activate with those in our circle. So I encourage everybody to have meals and gatherings in your homes or in restaurants and stay connected to people and gather. And I think as Jews, we do that best with food. And another way to connect or to rejuvenate or nourish ourselves is to travel. And so Jeffrey invited me to mention that I am leading and organizing a trip to Italy the first week of September. It's a very interesting theme and unique theme to this trip. It's about Jewish Italian cooking and history. So I'm not going to be able to share any of that with you guys here, but there are so many themes to the history of what the Jews in Italy have been through throughout time, going all the way back to 70 CE. And as I study that history and see remnants of the people who lived in Italy in these, early times, it's so reminiscent of what is happening now with anti-Semitism. So we really do need to get our cues from history. It really helps us see how much of that history is being repeated today, and helps us activate to know that this is another chapter and an old story. So let me see. So I think, Jeffrey, are you going to put up a slide or play a film, or no? Is this it?
You can.
Okay. Anyway, if you guys want to get in touch with me, the best way is through my website. So it's danastable.com. I have information about the trip. I have Jewish recipes to help you get your Jewish gatherings going. And maybe I'll put some in the chat here too. And I think Jeffrey might put something in the notes to the YouTube video. And let's stick together. But
how do you get a hold of you?
Through my website, but my email is dana@danastable.com.
And your website?
danastable.com.
Okay, very good. All right, I will encourage anybody else who's with us to add a final word or two if you care to. I will go back here and share. Anybody who was want to contribute? Lena, I see you here for the first time, and the thumbs are going up for Zola, so thank you, Zola. Go ahead and take the mic. That's a new feature of Zoom with these fast, fancy.
Yes, I know, I saw that, but it helps the host, because sometimes you miss one thumb. I just wanted to say, of course, it's just magnificent to see you smiling in person, in action, and to thank you again for everything that you do and have done, and always including me so willingly. I'm not an activist, but I'm always interested and so supportive of all these strong people who can do this. I come from the passive place of love, and will bring the joy and the hope, and eat the delicious food, Dana. And I have a lot of Italian Jews in our community in Cape Town, and the food is just magnificent. So yes, so just thank you again, and thank to Abe and to Rabbi Sarah and to everybody who's contributing and to giving so much, and to Dana. And I know that we will get through this all and survive this, as we have done and will do, and just supporting all the people who do take action. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And those of you who want to hear your beautiful music, just do a YouTube search for Zola, and you'll have so much beautiful music on YouTube that it's a favorite of mine. So thank you for what you're doing for the world.
Thank you.
I also want to conclude and let you know that I didn't know how or whether I could even do another Zoom after this one based on health issues, but I've decided that for Yom HaShoah, this year's memorial, which I always dedicate to my parents, it's going to be on April 6th. We already have 3 speakers. Abe will present Won't Be Silent to us in a bulk of time. We have Lindsay Sobrano, who is a poet and who has written a new book of poetry, will be joining us. And Julie Brill, who wrote a Holocaust memoir, which is just publishing for Yom HaShoah, called Hidden in Plain Sight, about the Holocaust in Serbia. So, and you would expect there'll be other magical tricks that I'll pull out of my pocket. So I want you, literally the Zoom is available, and I will be sending around an email and posting social media posts. So please, it's only 2 weeks away. I couldn't do it later because it's Passover and other conflicts And then Mother's Day is on the other side in May. So really it was the only available date for me to do that. Again, Sunday, April 6th at 1 o'clock Eastern time, 10 o'clock Pacific time. I hope those who join us here will also join us then. And this will be a totally Yom HaShoah memorial program. And also Zola is going to sing Pirtzik Su, which is a song that she's written for, and especially for the victims of the Holocaust. It's a beautiful rendition, and I play it every year. And I'm thanking you for doing it again. So thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again. This is a live recording. We'll be on YouTube tomorrow. If you registered, you should be receiving an email with a link. And I hope that you will share it widely. It will be edited. As a filmmaker, I have the lucky ability to go in and take all the flubs out and make it seamless and add some titles where I see that I missed titles. So you'll have a really good, clean copy to look at tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Bye now.